Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today it's time for the Slasher Jason Voorhees review. And of course I once again asked you guys on Twitter which character do you want to see next. But Slasher Jason Voorhees and Piercing Melina both ended up with 30%. So I had to give it one extra day until you finally voted for Slasher Jason Voorhees. So without any further ado, let's get right into the character review. Slasher Jason Voorhees is part of the Netherrealm class, and his passive is called Eternal Slayer. Even when defeated, Jason rises again with increased damage and plus 1 bar of power, twice. Jason's gear piece is the hockey mask, and it gives you 35% max health boost, 50% resistance to all debuffs for Jason Voorhees characters only, and 25% chance to reflect 100% basic attack damage when blocking. In terms of his feats of strength, he will have to perform 3000 combo enders to unlock his rune. For his victory stances, he has to win 750 matches in faction wars. For his taunts, he has to perform 1500 special 2 attacks. For his icons, he has to knock out 500 Cassie Cage enemies. For his backgrounds, he has to perform 250 X-ray/fatal blow attacks. For his titles, he has to knock out 1000 enemies. And now we are going through the victory stances one by one, starting with Malice. Next up we have Gun Show. Third would be It's Over. And exclusive for Slasher Jason Voorhees only, Will Not Die. And on your victory screen, it will look like this. Now I'm going to scroll through all of his backgrounds for you guys. Next up we have the icons. And finally the titles. Slasher Jason Voorhees has 2 types of combo enders. The first one is a throw of his machete, for which he used both hands. And the second combo ender is merely a slash, which he performs single-handedly. None of his combo enders knock the enemy down to the ground, leaving you the perfect opportunity to attack with another special attack or keep following up with combo enders. And of course you can combine both combo enders in a row. His special one is called Hack and Slash, and it causes bleed. Also noteworthy is that this attack can be basically blocked, but only the first few hits. The end of this attack will definitely be unblockable. And it can even be performed while the opponent has Revenant or Bone Shields up. If the opponent is very low on health, the special one can knock out your opponent. However, if the opponent is not knocked out with the third strike, this attack will go into the unblockable animation and the opponent will survive. Slasher Jason's special 2 is called Bloodlust, and it is also an unblockable attack, and also causes bleed. Once set in motion, this special attack will turn him into the remorseless killer we all love him for. After an initial kick, Jason Voorhees grabs his opponent while you have to play the minigame. After completing the minigame, he will ram his machete into the guts of his opponent several times, on top moving it around a little and kicking him into the dirt. Needless to say that an attack that fierce is of course capable of KOing your opponent. Jason's X-ray is called the Horror, and it is identical with all the other Jason variations we have in the game. But to me, this variation makes the most sense because he has the machete in his hands all the time, meaning that he doesn't have to summon it first. And of course, this attack also causes bleed. His passive called the Eternal Slayer will resurrect him twice, but here in this case I am showing you how to be even more annoying with Slasher Jason, simply by adding the right gear pieces and of course having Warlock Quan Chi in the team, who also resurrects. Another very common thing to spot in Faction Wars are teams who replace Circle of Shadow Sub-Zero, for example with Strikeforce Scorpion, who is also capable of saving Slasher Jason one more time from a death blow. Slasher Jason Voorhees is one of the coolest gold cards we have in MK Mobile, and it is so hard to max him out. At the moment he is only available in his Slasher Jason Voorhees pack, and this one usually only shows up either during Halloween or when we have a Friday the 13th. It took me about 2 years to completely fuse him up to Fusion 10, so if this pack shows up, make sure that you have saved enough souls to buy many of these packs, because as usual the drop rates are not the best, and you will definitely regret it to not have him on a high fusion. He is, for example, one of the best characters to deal with our annoying Assassin Jade, and regardless how many times she knocks him down, he will just resurrect with an extra bar of power, ultimately leading to an X-ray to finally take her out. And even though he's basically just a Netherrealm character, he is useful in basically any team that you put him in, regardless if Spec Ops or Martial Artist or whatever your desires may be, because Slasher Jason Voorhees is always the perfect backup in case something goes wrong. Unfortunately, he's not the fastest character and he doesn't really deal a lot of damage, but therefore he is very persistent and really is capable of annoying the hell out of many players, especially when, as I already suggested, you team him up with Warlock Quan Chi and Strikeforce Scorpion. So definitely make sure that you are able to obtain as many fusions as you possibly can as soon as his pack is up again. And before I am closing this review, I would like to suggest you 2 great gear setups you definitely have to try out. First, start with the Rusty Chainsaw. It will not only give you unblockable chance on basic attacks, but also will reduce the power cost of special tools by 50%. Then add the Living Dead armor so you can resurrect for a 3rd time. To resurrect for a 4th time, you just add the Frost Orb on top. Together with Warlock Quan Chi and Strikeforce Scorpion, that makes 6 resurrections in just one game. The second loadout I want to share with you also starts with the Rusty Chainsaw for the same reasons as before. As an armor, you add Jason's gear piece, the Hockey Mask, and finally on top Sindel's Signet Ring. Because if we take a closer look at the gear pieces, we already can see that Jason's Hockey Mask will give him 50% resistance to all debuffs. If we now take a look at Sindel's Signet Ring, we can see basically the exact same thing. Here we get 50% resistance to poison and bleed, as well as 50% resistance to slow and stun. With this setup you already have a guaranteed 100% resistance to poison, bleed, slow and stun. This way Jason Voorhees will still be vulnerable to fire attacks, leaving him with a 50-50 chance to be set afire. To at least boost your chances up to a 70% chance, just go to your talent tree and there you go to the support section. There you should max out the Hawk stance completely, giving you another 20% resistance to all debuffs. And now it's time for the pros and cons once again. And my biggest pro on Slasher Jason Voorhees is that he resurrects twice. Always gaining 1 bar of power for each resurrection makes Slasher Jason Voorhees especially dangerous because of his unblockable special attacks. On top we have the fact that each special attack as well as the X-ray causes bleed. Constantly applying a damage over time attack to your opponent will constantly drain his health bar and in most cases leaving you as the victor on the field. As far as negatives go, my biggest con is that matches with Slasher Jason are very slow. He also can get into a lot of trouble if he faces Strikeforce Johnny Cage, because Strikeforce Johnny Cage gains 1 bar of power for every resurrection from Jason. Jason Voorhees also can get into a lot of trouble, and that might be a quite rare occasion, but if an opponent wears Datusha Bane of the Moroi, he will deal a lot of damage as soon as Jason dares to resurrect. Aside from that, I have no issues with Slasher Jason Voorhees at all, and now it's time for a final rating, and I think in terms of gold cards, I will give him a solid 9 out of 10. He is simply that good. Well, that's already it for my Slasher Jason Voorhees review. Thank you once again for stopping by. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys with the next video, which will be probably very soon, because I really feel that the announcement for the next coming update might come every day now.
Thank you for watching, Realm. If you enjoyed the slaughter and the bloodshed, you can support the channel by clicking on the like button. You can also click on one of the 2 videos presented by Baraka here. Also make sure that you are subscribed and click the bell notification icon to be notified upon new uploads. You all know the drill. Wound not kill, have a good one, and see you next time.